That day, I saw a girl on the bus. A beautiful girl. Her face and eyes were perfect. Her complexion was fair. But my attention fell on her left wrist. A large portion of it was covered with a dark scar. And from that scar, a few long black hairs were swaying in the breeze like caterpillars. I was startled. I felt pity for the girl. Oh, such a beautiful girl, yet she had such a terrible flaw. However, there was a reason why I was so startled. Seeing that girl reminded me of an incident from a few years ago. I had heard the story from Satyabrata himself. After hearing it, I couldn't sleep for several nights. I kept thinking, is this even possible? Let me tell you about that incident. At that time, Satyabrata had just graduated as a doctor. He was from a wealthy family, so he lacked nothing in terms of money. Since childhood, he had wanted to become a doctor. But he didn't want to settle in Kolkata after becoming a doctor. He wanted to work in some rural village. There was no shortage of big doctors in Kolkata. But in the villages, there were no senior doctors. The experienced doctors never wanted to leave the city or the marketplace for the village because apparently, there wasn't much business there. There might not have been a shortage of patients, but what about money? The common village folk were very poor. They couldn't afford to pay doctors much. Nowadays, people's mindset has changed. They can't think beyond money. Wherever there is the most money, they rush to it like madmen. But Satyabrata's mind was different. He thought just because people don't have money, should they be deprived of seeing a good doctor? It shouldn't be that way. So, one day, Satyabrata bowed to his parents, took his bedding and a suitcase, and arrived at Rani Chowk. Here lived one of his father's childhood friends, who had encouraged Satyabrata to set up practice in the village. There was a small dispensary there. His father's friend said, "Dear Satyabrata, I'm giving you all this. You just stay here and save the village people." The house was old, but it was a 2-story building. 2 rooms upstairs, 2 rooms downstairs. Windows with old wooden shutters. Thick wooden beams supported the ceiling. The walls were damp and moldy. Perhaps, during the rainy season, water might leak into the rooms a little. A banyan sapling had even sprouted from a crack in the wall. Satyabrata wasn't used to living in such an old, desolate house, but he found it quite amusing. He thought, why not? It's something new. People have to get used to all sorts of things in life. It's through various experiences that a person grows. This too is an experience. Satyabrata noticed that the dispensary was nearly devoid of medicines. Whatever was there was old. So many new medicines had come out recently, but none of those were here. Satyabrata made a list and bought the necessary medicines with his own money. Soon, Satyabrata's reputation as a skilled doctor spread. Not only from Rani Chowk, but patients started coming from neighboring villages as well. He accepted whatever payment they could afford and was happy with it. Everyone said, "There's no doctor like him." Even in the city, doctors don't come at night when called, let alone in the village. Even if a patient were dying, doctors wouldn't come. They had plenty of excuses: heat in the summer, mud and water in the monsoon, cold in the winter. Some were afraid of other things too, but let's leave that aside. Satyabrata knew all of this. He told the patients, "If it's an emergency, come to me. No matter how late it is, I will go." The village elders raised their hands and blessed Satyabrata. From that day on, Satyabrata's nights were sleepless. He kept getting called to patients' homes, even from distant villages. In the evenings, a few elderly villagers would gather at Satyabrata's dispensary. Though he was much younger than them, he was the doctor after all. They would chat, and if they had a fever or ailment, Satyabrata would give them medicine for free. One day, an old man among the group remarked casually, "Babaji, your willingness to rush off in the middle of the night whenever someone calls is admirable. But, you should also think of your own safety." Satyabrata assumed the man was concerned about his overexertion, so he laughed and said, "This is the age to work hard, Karan Keku." "No, no, it's not about hard work, Babaji. I'm talking about something else." After pausing for a moment, he continued, "You're a modern city boy. I'm not sure if you'll believe this, but remember, in these villages, there are still fears of many supernatural things." Satyabrata sat up with interest and asked, laughing, "Supernatural fear? What kind of fear is that?" "You're laughing, Babaji? It's no laughing matter. Just recently, a new doctor like you came here, and within a month, one morning, his body was found floating in Rani Sayar. Did he commit suicide?" "No, he was lured out by a ghost in the night and drowned." After another brief pause, the old man added, "The grandson of the Pal family, Apurba, was a student at a college in Kolkata. He came to the village for his summer break. One night, while sleeping on the roof due to the heat, he saw a handsome boy calling him. Curiosity got the better of Apurba, and he followed the boy down the stairs, opened the latch, and walked onto the road, following the boy towards Rani Sayar. And then, that was it." Hearing this, Satyabrata burst out laughing. Karan Keku, irritated, said, "This isn't a laughing matter. What else can it be? It's pure nonsense." "Nonsense? Do you think I'm lying?" asked Chaturji Mashai. "What do you say, Chaturji Mashai?" Chaturji Mashai nodded, "It's true." "And Mitir Mashai?" Mitir Mashai replied, "Exactly. Why else would Gokul the confectioner's wife die in Rani Sayar?" Satyabrata responded, "Don't get upset, but the story about Apurba Pal is highly exaggerated." "Exaggerated? How so?" "Apurba was sleeping alone on the roof. How do you know a handsome boy called him, and that Apurba followed him down the stairs and out onto the road? Did any of you also see the handsome boy?" The old man fell silent. Satyabrata continued, "Look, people everywhere have a strong weakness for supernatural tales. They want to believe, so they embellish the stories when they tell them." Chaturji Mashai was about to say something when a patient with a broken hand came in, diverting the conversation. Satyabrata got busy with the patient, and the elderly men slowly left for their homes. Satyabrata lived alone on the second floor, with a young boy to handle his cooking. The boy left every evening to go home, leaving Satyabrata feeling quite lonely with no one to talk to. He often read medical books until sleep came. Sometimes, in the late afternoon, he would walk on the terrace. From there, he could see far into the village. There was an ancient neem tree, its age unknown. A large peepal tree also stood like a massive umbrella, covering half the sky. Every night, an owl would sit on one of its branches and let out a terrible screech. Next to the tree ran a road, lined with bamboo groves, which led to a vast, barren field. Some nights, gusty winds would howl across the field, waking the villagers from their sleep. They called it the bad wind, believing it to be an evil spirit roaming around. Beyond that field lay the vast Rani Sayar. No one knew why it was called Rani Sayar. Maybe after some queen from the past. Queens don't exist anymore, so perhaps it was named after some zamindar's wife from the old days. It was in that very Rani Sayar that a doctor had supposedly drowned. Then Apurba Pal. Then Gokul the confectioner's wife. Drowning was believable, but a ghost's call? In this day and age, are we still supposed to believe that? A few days later. No one knows what time it was, but light rain was falling. The entire village of Rani Chowk was in deep sleep. Suddenly, Satyabrata woke up. Someone was calling him Dr. Babu, Dr. Babu. Satyabrata realized it was a call from a patient's house. He quickly got up, stuck his head out the window, and asked, "Who is it?" He saw a gentleman standing outside, dressed in trousers and a Hawaiian shirt, holding an umbrella. Satyabrata was surprised. In a village like Rani Chowk, he had never seen such a well-dressed man. "What do you need?" "You need to come right away. There's a patient." Satyabrata grabbed his large flashlight, went downstairs, lit the lantern, and opened the door to the dispensary, inviting the man inside come in. The gentleman entered. Satyabrata placed the lantern on the table and sat down on a chair. "Sit down." "No time to sit. You need to come right now." "Where to?" "Madanhatai." "Madanhatai? Where's that?" "Across the river." Satyabrata remained quiet. It was raining, and crossing the river at such an hour. "What are you thinking, Dr. Babu? You must come. Otherwise, my father-in-law won't survive." The man pleaded earnestly. "But..." "No, no buts, you must come." At once, Satyabrata felt a softening in his heart. Just as he was about to get up, a woman entered the room. She seemed to be around 24 or 25 years old, quite beautiful, wearing a black sari with a matching black blouse. A black foam bag hung from her shoulder, and she held a black lady's umbrella. Even at this late hour, she wore dark sunglasses. The black accessories contrasted strikingly with her fair complexion, making her appearance all the more striking. The man introduced her, saying, "This is my wife." "It's her father." Satyabrata was a little surprised. How could someone whose father was critically ill come to call a doctor so well-dressed and composed? Sensing Satyabrata's thoughts, the man explained, "She came herself, fearing that you might not agree to come otherwise." As Satyabrata contemplated what to do, the woman approached the table and, folding her hands, said, "You must come, doctor. We will pay you whatever fee you ask." "I'm not after money," Satyabrata said. "Please, don't say such things. I apologize. But if you don't come, my father..." Her voice began to tremble as she spoke. "Tell me the case first, and then I'll decide whether it's necessary for me to go," Satyabrata replied. As he opened his pen to take notes, the cap fell to the floor. Bending down to search for the cap in the dark, Satyabrata couldn't find it, so he used his flashlight. As the beam of light fell on the woman's feet, Satyabrata was shocked. Long strands of coarse hair were coiled and spilling onto the ground from her ankles. No human could possibly have such hair. For a moment, Satyabrata's mind reeled from the sight, but it lasted only for a split second. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he quickly regained his composure, picked up the pen's cap, and sat up straight in his chair. The woman, still draped in black, stared intently at him through her sunglasses. As their eyes met, the woman, growing impatient, said, "Don't delay any longer. Let's go. Dawn will break soon." "But how will we get there?" Satyabrata asked, his mind racing with thoughts. "You'll have to walk a little with us, I'm afraid," she replied. "I can't walk. My foot is injured." "But how else will you go? This is a remote village." "Do one thing," Satyabrata suggested. "Go to the nearby Golpita and tell them about me. They'll provide a cart. With no other option, they left in search of a cart. The moment they stepped out the door, Satyavrata rushed to close it and bolted it securely. He then went upstairs and locked all the doors there as well. Minutes passed. Then, a loud banging started on the door below as if it were about to break down. Satyavrata pressed his hands tightly over his ears and remained seated, waiting for the dawn. As soon as the first light of morning appeared, the noise stopped.